Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the 7 motorcycles dealers can't sell and why it's getting worse. Number 7. Triumph Trident 660. The Triumph Trident 660 is that bike everyone expected to take over the middleweight naked category, and yet it's collecting more dust than miles at dealerships. With slick styling, solid reviews, and a tempting spec sheet, it should be a hot seller. But lately, it's been riding headfirst into a wall of poor sales, and things aren't exactly turning around. Under the tank, you've got a lively 660cc inline triple engine pumping out a respectable 80 horsepower. It's smooth, eager, and makes all the right noises on paper. But American buyers have been slow to warm up to mid-range triples, especially when a few grand more gets you into higher displacement twins or fours with stronger brand pull. The Trident's price tag of around $9,500 isn't outrageous, but it's sitting in a weird no-man's land. It's not budget-friendly like the smaller twins, nor aspirational like the higher-end monsters. Then there's the dealer experience. Triumph's dealer network in the US isn't as widespread or convenient as Honda, Yamaha, or Harley. Getting parts, accessories, or even a test ride can be a chore in smaller towns. Add rising interest rates and a crowd of used bikes flooding the market, and the Trident ends up being a perfectly good bike with nowhere to go. Overall, the Triumph Trident 660 feels like a sharp tool stuck in the wrong toolbox. Great bike, wrong timing, and a market that's shifting gears while it stalls in neutral. Number 6. Kawasaki Vulcan. The Kawasaki Vulcan S should be flying off the showroom floor. It's approachable, stylish, and even lets you adjust the ergonomics to fit your body. But despite all that effort, it's not exactly the prom queen of cruiser sales in the U.S., and lately the situation's gone from lukewarm to just plain cold. Powering the Vulcan S is a 649cc parallel twin borrowed from the Ninja 650, detuned for a relaxed, cruiser-style ride. It's smooth and peppy, sure, but die-hard cruiser fans are still looking for that classic V-twin rumble, not a sport bike whisper in a leather jacket. Kawasaki tried to carve out a niche with this modern engine cruiser mashup, but most buyers either want full-on sport or full-on cruiser, not this in-between experiment. Then there's the price. At around $7,900, it's not outrageous, but it's not exactly undercutting rivals like the Honda Rebel or even some Harley used models either. The other issue, the styling, while it's clean and modern, it doesn't scream attitude or presence. It's the bike equivalent of a decent haircut, tidy, practical, but no one's going to stop you on the street to ask who did it. Number 5. Harley-Davidson Pan America. The Harley-Davidson Pan America came roaring onto the scene with big ambitions, Harley's bold leap into the adventure bike world. But instead of conquering trails and sales charts, it's now mostly conquering dealership floor space. What was supposed to be a game changer has turned into a head-scratcher, and the situation is getting bumpier. Underneath the rugged facade sits a 1,252cc Revolution Max engine delivering around 150 horsepower. On paper, it's got the juice to run with the big ADV boys like the BMW GS or the KTM 1290. But let's be honest, adventure riders are gear nerds, brand loyalists, and tech purists. And many still look at Harley the way a vegan looks at a steakhouse, curious but unconvinced. With a starting price just shy of $18,000, the Pan America doesn't come cheap either. And when buyers are already skeptical of the brand's off-road credentials, they'd rather drop that cash on a bike with a proven track record in the dirt, or one that doesn't weigh north of 500 pounds before you even load it with camping gear. Serviceability is another thorn. Adventure riders want support in remote areas. Harley dealerships, mostly geared for cruisers, aren't always prepared to handle ADV quirks, parts, or fast turnarounds. Overall, the Harley-Davidson Pan America is like a dad who just discovered hiking in his 50s. Enthusiastic, well-geared, but trying a bit too hard to fit in with the mountain crowd. Number 4. Suzuki Boulevard. The Suzuki Boulevard M109R is an absolute beast on the spec sheet, massive, muscular, and menacing. It was built to intimidate and impress, but lately the only thing it's dominating is the discount section of the showroom. Sales have slowed to a crawl, and dealers are starting to wonder if anyone still wants a heavyweight power cruiser that doesn't know what decade it's in. Its 1,783cc V-twin engine delivers thunderous torque and more grunt than a tractor pulling a parade float. But this thing weighs nearly 800 pounds wet, and that's before you even add a rider with a weekend burrito habit. It's not nimble, it's not tech-savvy. And in a world that's moving towards smart, slim, and somewhat sensible bikes, the M109R feels like a holdout from a time when size was the only flex that mattered. At just over $15,000, it's priced to compete with more modern cruisers, many of which come with updated rider aids, better ergonomics, and less aggressive weightlifting requirements. Plus, its aggressive styling with the fat rear tire, raked-out stance, and chrome overdose hasn't aged gracefully. Buyers under 40 are going for sleek and minimal, not chrome and thunder nostalgia machines. And let's not forget the practicalities. Terrible turning radius, low cornering clearance, and a suspension that translates every pothole into a minor back injury. It's a bike that says, "Let's ride," but quickly adds, "but only in straight lines and not too far." Number 3. Indian FTR. The Indian FTR was supposed to be the flat-track-inspired rebel that shook up the Street Fighter world. Instead, it's become the bike everyone likes to read about but no one seems to actually buy. Despite a strong start and a whole lot of attitude, the FTR's sales are sagging harder than a tire at the end of a burnout competition, and the slump is only deepening. Its engine is no joke. A 1,200cc V-twin that punches out around 120 horsepower with plenty of torque to get the blood pumping. But here's the issue. While it sounds fun, it's not exactly the smoothest ride in the garage. The early versions were plagued with jerky throttle response and odd fueling, which left a sour taste that even updates couldn't fully wash out. Riders looking for refinement kept walking toward European rivals, while others couldn't quite figure out what the FTR was trying to be. At around $13,500, it's priced to compete with serious street fighters from Yamaha, Triumph, and Ducati, all of which offer sharper handling, better electronics, and a more polished ride. Add to that the fact that Indian's known more for cruisers and baggers, and it's no surprise the FTR feels like the stylish outsider no one's sure what to do with. Overall, the Indian FTR is a bit like that one guy at the party wearing a leather jacket and quoting Hemingway. Interesting? Definitely. Popular? Not so much. Unless Indian gives it a clearer identity or a friendlier price tag, it's going to keep sitting in the corner. Number 2. Triumph Rocket 3. The Triumph Rocket 3 sounds like a name meant for blasting off, and with a 2005cc inline-3 engine, the biggest production motorcycle engine in the world, it certainly should be. But while the specs scream domination, dealership floors are starting to look like launch pads that never saw liftoff. Sales are soft and the situation seems to be sputtering further into orbit. Let's start with that monster engine. 2005cc. That's not just overkill, it's like showing up to a backyard barbecue with a flamethrower. Sure, the torque is mind-bending, and yes, it'll flatten your eyeballs under acceleration, but it's also a handful. Most everyday riders don't need or want that much brute force, especially when it comes with a curb weight over 650 pounds and handling that politely says, "Let's keep this in a straight line, champ." Then there's the price, hovering around $24,000, which firmly plants it in the dream bike category. And that dream, for most people, comes with practical expectations, like daily usability, touring comfort, or even a bit of rider tech. Overall, the Triumph Rocket 3 is like bringing a sledgehammer to a thumbtack, impressive, intimidating, and maybe a little unnecessary. It's a mechanical marvel, no doubt, but unless Triumph figures out how to make excess more appealing to the everyday rider, this rocket might stay grounded. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Nightster. The Harley-Davidson Nightster was meant to be the next evolution of Harley's Sportster legacy, lighter, modern, and ready to lure in younger riders. But instead of kickstarting a new chapter, it's mostly kickstarting dust at dealerships. As of now, it's becoming a textbook example of great idea, wrong reception, and dealers are struggling more with each passing month. Powering the Nightster is the Revolution Max 750 engine, a liquid-cooled V-twin that cranks out around 90 horsepower. It's smooth, rev-happy, and feels nothing like the air-cooled thumpers Harley diehards are used to. That's both its biggest innovation and its biggest curse. Traditionalists aren't sold on the change, and newer riders, well, they're already looking at bikes with better tech, lighter weight, and a more versatile ride. The price doesn't help either. At roughly $13,500, it's far from an entry-level steal. That kind of cash gets you into more refined options from Japan or Europe, and often with more standard features, like cruise control, advanced ride modes, or a better display. For something marketed as a nimble, accessible Harley, it feels just a tad too serious on the wallet without being serious enough on performance. Overall, the Harley-Davidson Nightster is like a reboot of a classic movie that no one really asked for. Ambitious? Absolutely. But if it can't win over the faithful or the fresh faces, it's just going to keep idling in the background while riders go elsewhere. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.